In 1587, 115 English settlers vanished from Roanoke Island, leaving behind only the mysterious word CROATOAN carved into a fence post. Today, we'll unravel one of America's oldest unsolved mysteries and explore the haunting theories behind their disappearance. Let's rewind to 1584, when Sir Walter Raleigh had a bold dream that would change history. Picture this. Raleigh, a charming nobleman with Queen Elizabeth's favor, proposed establishing England's first foothold in North America. He sold the Queen on a vision of a colony that would serve as a base to raid Spanish ships and create a thriving English settlement. The Queen, impressed by his ambition, granted him a patent to colonize North America. Raleigh wasn't just another adventure-seeking nobleman. He saw Roanoke as the perfect spot to challenge Spain's dominance in the New World. The location was strategic, protected waters, fertile soil, and positioned perfectly to launch privateering missions against Spanish treasure ships. Though Raleigh never visited Roanoke himself, he invested huge sums of money and his reputation in this venture. The first attempt at settling Roanoke in 1585 was like a dress rehearsal for disaster. Led by Ralph Lane, 108 men arrived on the island, but things went south pretty quickly. These settlers, mostly military men, were more interested in finding gold than farming, not exactly the best mindset for building a sustainable colony. When food ran low, relationships with the local Croatoan and Roanoke tribes soured fast. The settlers, who depended on the natives for food, turned aggressive. They burned a native village over a missing silver cup, which, let's be honest, wasn't the smartest diplomatic move. By 1586, the colonists were starving and desperate. When Sir Francis Drake stopped by during his Caribbean raiding expedition, they jumped at the chance to return to England. They left behind a small garrison of 15 men to maintain England's claim, though their fate would become just another layer in Roanoke's growing mystery. Now enters John White, an artist and cartographer who would lead the next chapter in Roanoke's story. In 1587, he brought 115 settlers, including women and children, a crucial difference from the previous military-focused attempt. White's own daughter, Eleanor, and her husband, Ananias Dare, were among them. On August 18, 1587, something remarkable happened. Eleanor gave birth to Virginia Dare, the first English child born in the Americas. This birth symbolized hope for the colony's future, showing this wasn't just a military outpost, but a real community taking root. White proved to be a more thoughtful leader than his predecessors, working to rebuild relationships with native tribes and establishing proper housing and farms. But the colony faced serious supply shortages, and the settlers convinced White to sail back to England for help. Little did he know that when he departed, leaving behind his family and fellow colonists, it would be the last time he'd see them. When John White set sail for England in late 1587, he thought he'd be back in 3 months. Talk about bad timing. He sailed straight into the Anglo-Spanish War. With England facing the Spanish Armada, every ship was needed for defense, and White's return mission kept getting delayed. Despite his desperate pleas, Queen Elizabeth's government had bigger concerns than a small colony across the ocean. White made several attempts to organize supply ships, but they either got hijacked by privateers or were forced to turn back. Can you imagine his frustration? He had left his daughter, granddaughter, and 115 others counting on his return. The delay stretched from months into years, while White could only hope the colonists had enough resources to survive. By the time he finally secured passage in 1590, nearly 3 years had passed. The fate of those he left behind hung by a thread, and time was running out. The timing of White's return to England couldn't have been worse. The year was 1587, and Europe was about to explode into chaos. Spain's King Philip II was assembling the largest naval fleet ever seen, the infamous Spanish Armada. Queen Elizabeth I had ordered every English ship to stay in port for defense, turning White's quick supply run into an agonizing waiting game. Meanwhile, the settlers faced 3 harsh winters with dwindling supplies. English ships that might have checked on the colony were busy playing cat and mouse with Spanish galleons in the Channel. White's desperate attempts to return were thwarted again and again. One supply mission was attacked by French pirates, another had to turn back due to weather. Each delay was another nail in Roanoke's coffin. The colonists, who had expected help within months, were left to face the brutal realities of survival in an unfamiliar land, their fate tied to events happening an ocean away. When White finally returned to Roanoke in 1590, he walked into every explorer's nightmare. The colony was completely deserted. No people, no bodies, no signs of a battle or disaster. The settlement's buildings had been carefully dismantled, suggesting the colonists left deliberately rather than in a panic. But two clues stood out. The word Croatoan carved boldly into a fence post and CRO etched into a nearby tree. The settlers had previously agreed that if they moved, they'd carve their destination and add a Maltese cross if they left under duress. Notably, there was no cross. White also found the settlement's buried chests dug up and scattered, their contents ruined by rain and weather. His own belongings lay among the wreckage, including his armor, which was now rusted beyond repair. The scene painted a picture of an organized departure. But to where? And why hadn't they waited at Croatoan Island as the carving seemed to suggest? The Croatoan tribe, led by their chief Manteo, might hold the key to understanding what happened to the lost colonists. Unlike other local tribes, the Croatoan maintained friendly relations with the English settlers throughout their stay. Manteo himself had even traveled to England twice, learning the language and serving as a vital interpreter. Historical records suggest that the colonists and Croatoans had developed a strong trading relationship, exchanging English goods for food and local knowledge. When faced with dwindling supplies and hostile neighbors, it's possible the settlers made a logical choice, seeking refuge with their most reliable allies. Archaeological evidence found on Hatteras Island, the Croatoans' ancestral home, hints at this theory. European artifacts dating to the colonial period have been discovered there, along with signs of cultural mixing. Some Croatoan descendants today even claim their ancestors spoke of taking in the struggling colonists, teaching them survival skills, and eventually intermarrying with them. Let's dig into the fascinating archaeological discoveries that have shed new light on the Roanoke mystery. Recent excavations have uncovered some remarkable finds that tell us more about the colonists' fate. At Cape Creek on Hatteras Island, archaeologists found European copper rings, English ceramics, and a 16th century English sixpence, exactly the kind of items the colonists would have carried. Even more intriguing are the writing slates and lead seals typical of English merchants, suggesting some colonists might have moved here to trade. DNA analysis of local families has revealed European ancestry dating back to the colonial period. Perhaps most exciting was the discovery of a signet ring likely belonging to one of the colonists, along with gun parts and tools mixed with Native American artifacts. These findings point to a gradual integration rather than a sudden disappearance. Now let's explore the competing theories about what really happened to the lost colonists. Some historians suggest a darker fate, that the settlers fell victim to hostile Native American tribes or Spanish raiders who'd been attacking English settlements. But here's where it gets interesting. Spanish records from that period show no mention of attacking Roanoke. Another compelling theory points to integration with friendly tribes. The settlers, facing starvation, likely split into smaller groups. Some probably joined the Croatoan tribe on Hatteras Island, while others may have moved inland to the Chesapeake Bay area. English explorers in the early 1600s reported seeing light-skinned, blue-eyed natives who could speak out of a book. Captain John Smith even heard stories of settlers living among inland tribes, though his rescue attempts were thwarted. The truth likely combines multiple theories. Survival meant adaptation, and the colonists may have scattered to survive. The legacy of the lost colony fundamentally changed how England approached colonization in North America. After Roanoke's disappearance, future colonial ventures like Jamestown were planned with military protection, better supplies, and stronger connections to England. The mystery also sparked a fascinating cultural impact that continues today, inspiring countless books, documentaries, and even the hit TV show American Horror Story. But beyond entertainment, Roanoke taught crucial lessons about the importance of indigenous relationships and proper colonial planning. The settlement's disappearance led to more careful selection of colony locations, better supply chains, and stronger emphasis on farming over searching for gold. In a way, Roanoke's failure paved the way for Jamestown's success, making it a pivotal chapter in American history. Thanks for joining us on this historical journey into America's most intriguing mystery. While we may never know the full truth about Roanoke, its legacy lives on. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to explore more fascinating historical mysteries together.